Hello, everybody. It's George from Ireland. Ooh, that's annoying me. So welcome back to my channel. Anyway, so there was a notable event in Alabama on Thursday, a tristful event, and that is that Mr. Kenneth Eugene Smith was executed. Now, I know he murdered a totally innocent woman way back in 1989, and it was murder in the first. He didn't do this as crime passionnel. He did it for $1,000. So that was a heinous act. So I hope I don't need to emphasize that I'm very much against murder. But he served a very long prison sentence already. Was it 35 years he had served? Now, I'm quite a merciful person, and I might even have released him after that time. But obviously, parole boards and psychiatrists have to look into this. Is the person really safe for release? And then he was put to death. It does seem, I mean, I don't support the death penalty, but unjust to execute the person so long. I don't know what his behavior like was in prison. Was he a danger to the public any longer? My goodness. So yeah, rather horrific. And he was killed by nitrogen as well. It's the very first time that that the nitrogen has been used to kill someone. So he had to put this mask on, and he could only breathe in nitrogen. Therefore, he couldn't get any oxygen, and then he suffocated. And people watched him writhing, struggling for a few minutes, thrashing around. Seemed to have been horrific. So I've seen reports saying it took about 9 minutes to die. Others will say it's more or less 25 minutes to die because he was inhaling nothing but nitrogen, couldn't get any oxygen. And obviously, when the brain can't get oxygen for long enough, it shuts down. So you can imagine his distress as he fought for life, but he just couldn't get any oxygen whatsoever. So the officials at the prison said that Mr. Smith would go unconscious within seconds and then just die a few minutes later. Not what was going on, but there was a prison chaplain there, Jeff Hood, who was there as the spiritual advisor for the condemned, and he said that it was horrific. And obviously, Mr. Hoodie got to know Mr. Smith very well over months and years and developed some sort of emotional bond, which is not to say you excuse the murder. We're talking about a human being here, and we've all got evil in us, and we've all got good in us. I know some people have got far more evil than good, and I know he committed the ultimate crime, but I don't think he should pay with this for his life. And you might say, well, it's easy for me to say because I'm not related to that lady he murdered, and she's not going to be reprieved in the grave. She's never going to come back, and that is true. But killing him obviously doesn't bring her back for even a single second. Yeah, it's just you've got to remember there's another family. There's Mr. Smith's family, and the grief that they're going through as well. And I know him serving life in prison is not ideal from their point of view, but he could have a little bit of happiness in prison. They could at least connect with him. There might be some hope his sentence might be reduced or whatever. He might even escape or something like that. So one family has suffered a violent death, and it's not good to make a second family go through this as well. So I'd like us to be a bit more ruth and show some sort of compassion. If you had to have the death penalty at all, couldn't be by some sort of method where death really is instantaneous, as in firing squad, 20 bullets in the chest would surely do the trick. I mean, I'm told if you're shot in the heart, that is it. You are dead, even if not quite instantly. Or likewise, lots and lots of bullets in the brain. Even one bullet in the brain, you can often survive that. Look, was it Gabriel Giffords or whatever, that American politician who was shot something like 15 years ago and is in quite good shape now. Yeah, or what else is there? Even hanging, breaking the neck between the second and third vertebrae. The person's going to be out by a light, and it didn't always work. But anyway, better to have no death penalty at all. But if there is to be the death penalty, it could not be something where death is as quick and painless as possible. And this is really not. Making it quasi-clinical somehow it just prolongs the horror and the agony. So it was witnessed by lots of other people. So other states such as Mississippi and Oklahoma, they have legalized the use of natural nitrogen gas to put people to death and so on. So the United Nations has denounced it, and President Biden is said to be deeply unhappy about this and so on. Remember, this is a state execution. It's not the federal government executing the person. So I know that he callously murdered a woman just because her husband wanted to get rid of this guy. And the other person who was the gun for hire who killed that woman, he was put to death way back in 2010. So the victim's son, he's now grown up, said his family were not elated that the man had been put to death, but they feel that they're pleased that it's just finished and this man has paid his debt to society. So Yeah, anyway, it's a deeply unhappy event, and so all sorts of human rights organizations have spoken out against it. But what troubles me is not denouncing the execution. Good, let's denounce it, even though there's not a penumbra of doubt about his guilt. Is that there's a whole other category of people who are suffering similar chemical slayings, who are suffocating. You can imagine their death rows, them struggling, and I'm talking about children, and that is children in utero, and babies in the womb are just as human as you and me, and they are just as alive as you and me, and have as much right to life as all the rest of us. They have perhaps even more than adults, because we at least have lived quite a few years and they haven't. And what are their hopes and dreams? And think about their pain and their suffering. And of course, a few months in, they have a functioning central nervous system. Many of them they don't. Even if death is genuinely painless, it's still wrong. If someone could kill you in a totally painless way right now, that'd be wrong, wouldn't it? How about someone you love having a totally painful death right now? You okay with that? I think not. So why is it all right to do it to a baby? And I hear all these sort of specialist arguments for abortion. And when Justice Alito, the United States Supreme Court, when he overturned Roe versus Wade, he cited some precedent from 13th century England, and he's been panned by abortionists for this. Well, that's what precedent is. It's something that's gone earlier. And yes, we look back to examples centuries ago, could be millennia ago. For example, the presumption of innocence. Is that bad? You're going to throw that out? That one's over 3,000 years old. Just because it's very old doesn't automatically make it bad. And, you know, if you look back in the USA to the 19th century, there were few laws against abortion. And therefore you say, well, that's wrong because it's from the 19th century. So we have to go to the 20th century when it was very restricted. It really is imbecilic. It's just not an argument to say if something's old, it automatically makes it bad. You know, the murder of adults has been illegal for a very long time. Do you want to abolish that one? Rape has been illegal for a very long time. Does that mean it should be legalized? It is just preposterous and legally illiterate to say that it's problematic to cite something from a long time ago. You know, people want to uphold Roe versus Wade. One day Roe versus Wade will be centuries ago. So you're saying centuries ago, centuries into the future, that ought to be overturned simply because it's old. This really is imbecilic, and the abortionists have got to do better than that. And it's staggering that Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch can shed so many tears over this man. He deserved less sympathy than most, but has absolutely no compassion whatsoever, no mercy for children who die in the self-same manner. Little girls and little boys who are put to death for the crime of being alive, of being in the uterus. So what is their crime? Why do they deserve to suffer? What have they done to deserve this? To be treated just the same fate as this Mr. Smith, who did at least murder someone. Anyway, and they can't even escape, and they can't even plead for mercy, which is why it behoves adults to protect them. You know, we have to do things on their behalf, which is to keep them alive. And we know that the default setting is to stay alive. Why do we eat? Why do we drink? Why do we seek shelter? Why do we avoid excessive heat or excessive cold? Why do we stay away from danger? Is all because we want to live. That is the default setting. 99.99% of people do not commit suicide. The presupposition must be that people want to continue to live, and therefore we have to protect the unborn. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. So please subscribe to this channel. Make sure you donate on PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. Goodbye.